It was another great night of sports for any sports fans across the world with great soccer, so we got to start there. Let's take a look here at the United States versus Japan. This was a huge game for the U.S. after losing to South Korea recently. There were a lot of question marks about the manager, Pochettino, and just how this team was going to respond. And they switched things up against Japan and got a huge, decisive 2-0 victory. The goals came from Alejandro Vendejas in the 30th minute and Folarin Balogun in the 64th. And the U.S. just looked like a complete team for maybe the first time leading up to the World Cup. This was the best game that I've seen the U.S. play so far, winning over the number 17th ranked Japan team. And really, it starts to show when you look a little deeper at the stats here. The U.S. had 11 shots on goal to Japan's 6, 19 shot attempts total altogether, only one yellow card from Vendejas early in the game. But of course, he responded with a beautiful goal from a nice cross from the teammates there. And 3 saves to Japan's 9. Japan played well on the defensive side, but the U.S. switched up the scheme here, which might have caught Japan by a little bit of a surprise. But they went with a 3-4-3 scheme attacking, so putting an extra midfielder up there and an extra attack man. It just gave the U.S. a little bit more offense and just the ability to control the pace of the game, which in the first half, they controlled the possession margin 63%, which was just huge. Having the ball on your side, being able to dictate the pace of the game, that was just essential for the U.S. And looking ahead, this Japan team just tied Mexico this past weekend in a 0-0 affair. This is no joke of a team. So the U.S. has to be extremely happy. Just the way they looked as a team looked more united, looked like they actually knew how to play with each other. And just a huge moment for this club altogether. So looking ahead, you've got Ecuador on October 10th and Australia on the 14th. So some time to recoup for the rest of this month. And Pochettino just switching up the scheme deserves a lot of credit. It was a serious gamble, and at times the defense looked a little shaky. The back end looked a little shaky, allowing maybe a few more shot attempts on goal than you might have wanted. But something like that needs to happen after a big loss to South Korea in a game where you're expected to win. Well, let's switch over here to baseball. Huge moment last night as Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th home run of the season. He's on in the lead, fighting with Ohtani among a few others for the NL MVP this season with the Phillies, and Schwarber's helping this Phillies team lead the division over there, beating the Mets in this game 9-3 off the Schwarber home run. It was a 3-run, 437-foot absolute moonbeam to give the Phillies a big time lead. And the Phillies sitting here at 85-60. They're up 9 games on the Mets, especially after that win last night. And this 50th home run means more than just hitting the 50 mark, which of course is a huge thing. He's only the second player in Phillies history to hit 50. The last was Ryan Howard, not Ryan Howard from The Office, but Phillies Ryan Howard in 2006, who hit 58 home runs at age 26 and won the NL MVP of that season. And now looking here at Schwarber from a larger perspective, each of his 4 seasons with the Phillies, he's hit at least 38 home runs. And at age 32, he only seems to be getting better. This Phillies team that pushed away and won the World Series just a few seasons ago, it looks like they're going to have some ammunition. Now it's going to come down to the pitching rotations here as we head into the most important time of the season coming up with the playoffs. And the last time the Phillies made a big run, they started in the wild card, of course, remember. And traditionally the wild card teams have done better than the division-winning first-round bye teams. But the Phillies, they have the championship pedigree. They have the experience. If Schwarber Fest can get going again in Philly, it could just be chaos. And this team looks primed to make another huge run. In other news, the Detroit Tigers had a 7-run 7th inning to take a huge victory and lead their division as well. They beat the Yankees in a big-time affair. That Yankees loss, they're still one game above the Red Sox, but the Yankees and Red Sox, Yankees at 80 wins, Red Sox at 81. The Yankees have played one less game, of course, but those two are fighting behind the Blue Jays in the AL, and the Tigers lead their division. The Astros lead the other one, fighting with the Mariners and Rangers for the bye. So baseball is tight, it's close, and it's a good time to be a baseball fan. The best part of the season is coming up soon. Unfortunately for my sweet Braves, there's not going to be any October, late September, October baseball, but that's how it goes with injuries, tough pitching rotations, and just a disappointing season altogether. Let's switch on over here to NBA basketball. Last night, Josh Giddey got paid an $100 million contract for 4 years. This was an ongoing conversation with the Bulls franchise. Lots of questions about Giddey. He had a fantastic close to the season, where I believe he was shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three, over 20 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, or something along those lines. But he gets this big contract, up to $100 million for 4 years, and it's not really a surprising move per se, but it still is a move that leaves some questions for this Bulls organization. So you traded for Giddey just with Alex Caruso. It was a 1-for-1 deal a few seasons ago. Caruso just won a championship. You got Giddey, who's a good player, a good point guard, solid floor spacer. He can shoot relatively well, plays good defense. And you look down his stats here, 14.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. It's a good, in terms of stats and money, of course the deal makes a whole lot of sense. You look at these stats paying $25 million a year for those kinds of stats. That's pretty solid. And apparently the Bulls wanted to give him 20. He wanted 30. They split the difference somewhere around 25. So it's not horrible. And you look down here at the highest paid point guards. Giddey is sitting here at 21st with this new contract. He's behind Terry Rozier and Andrew Nembhard. Now, the deal registers at $22.5 million this year. But, yeah, he's right around Fred VanVleet, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Emmanuel Quickley. So in terms of monetary value you're getting for a player, I think this deal makes a whole lot of sense. It's kind of a deal you had to do. You traded for Giddey originally. You don't want to let him walk, especially when he could be the engine to a team that played pretty well towards the end of the season. There's a lot to... There's some pieces to get excited about for the Bulls, but generally, there are some question marks. With Giddey, he's very ball dominant, and you generally have to structure the offense directly around him. Now, he's only 22, so he's got room to improve, but the Bulls' offense only flows well with Giddey on the floor when he is the one bringing the ball up the court. So looking down here at the cap table, there's not a whole lot of room for the Bulls to do a whole lot with this roster. You've got Giddey leading the way at 22.5 this year. Vucevic at 21, who's been in trade talks for it seems like years. Zach Collins behind him, who they acquired this offseason. You've got Patrick Williams soaking up $18 million a year to score 9 points. Kevin Huerter at 18. There's a lot of guys at that $10 to $20 million range that are solid players, but you just wonder what the future of this core is really like. Can this core actually make a run? Can this core get anywhere? To me, they should tear it all down. You should tear it all down and rebuild. After the DeRozan situation, where they had the DeMar DeRozan game winners in that season, they were leading the East for a time. That was kind of the high point of this roster. And you look down at this team, and it's not going to be a playoff team. It might be a play-in team, but you certainly will not make the playoffs. And you're going to be just good enough to miss out on the top 5 picks every season. And Yeah, I mean, it came down actually at the end of the day to a coin flip between them and the Mavericks for the first round pick this season, because they had tied records. And yeah, the Mavericks ended up with Cooper Flagg. So maybe the Bulls will get some kind of that luck, but it just seems like this organization is directionless. And there's certainly a lot of concerns for the future. Where does this team build? Where do they go from here? Well, with that being said, we will see you tomorrow for some Thursday morning coverage. Hope you've enjoyed. And tomorrow will actually be the last video for a week, as I'll be traveling. So I'll give some previews for NFL, for college, for the next upcoming weekend. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.